Hey guys, back with one of Nathan Bell's commentary videos. Give this a like and subscribe. Follow Nathan on Facebook or wherever you're seeing it. And today, Nate wants to talk about free media versus state media.
Yeah, well, I do ultimately think there should be a balance between free media and state media, because the government can serve the role of regulating that people are given the correct information, and it's important that people have the correct information. But also, we know from history that governments can promote misinformation as well, and that's why we have free media and free acting journalists whose role it is to investigate the state and to uncover any conspiracies or cover-ups or misinformation that the state is presenting, because states can present propaganda as well. Now, so as I said, it's important that we do have the regulation of the government to make sure we have the correct information about what is going on in the world, such as emergencies and stuff, and medical issues. But we have the free media, journalists acting independently of the state there to regulate any corruption in the government. So I'm really big into citizen journalism. I'm into the idea that independent actors within the community who see that there is a problem with what the government or other organisations, not just the government, we can also investigate corporations and other bodies, but I'm big on the idea that independent actors have the legal right to establish their own media firms and conduct their own investigations into authorities and other bodies, and then report any corruption that they find in those bodies. And I view Julian Assange as free media because Julian Assange was an independent actor. And let's remember, you don't need a license to be a journalist, and I think that's right because it gives power to the people to report on the authorities. But Julian Assange, in my mind, is free media because he's an independent actor separate to the state who conducted an investigation on the state and then released the truth about what the state was doing. He was releasing information about America, obviously. So in my mind, Julian Assange is independent media. He is free media. And I also want to point out that in my mind, publications like the Green Left are free media. You know, they would have to be operating under an ABN. They're a private body. I'm not sure how their organisation is structured, but essentially they're a body separate to state, presenting a separate narrative to the state's narrative. So it's all about the narrative that is being presented, because the state presents one narrative, like the narrative the Bush administration presented about the Iraq invasion, the weapons of mass destruction, and independent media then has the ability, and we have the legal right because we allow this in this country, to present an opposing narrative, like when publications present an opposing narrative to the Iraq invasion. Unfortunately, it always seems that the state's narrative wins out, and that particularly America's narrative wins out. But at least we are allowed, within the framework of the legal system in this country and in America and in the West, we independent actors, at least we have the right to form our own media outlets and report on the state. For those of us who can see the corruption that there is inherent in the state and in other organisations and institutions, we are citizens acting to regulate corruption by conducting our own investigations and exposing crimes through our own investigations. So we are regulating the state and other bodies through our own actions. And I'm all about being an independent actor who acts on the state and regulates the state. See, I always wanted to be a journalist, and I've done a documentary. I wrote a blog for 3 years where I reported on freedom of information releases. If I had the opportunity to dump files that exposed crime in institutions, I absolutely would. So I see myself as wanting to be a citizen journalist and establish my own media company, and I'm glad that our belief in the West in free media allows me to do that. So as I said, I do view actors like Julian Assange and publications like the Green Left and even like magazines that report conspiracy news like New Dawn, that's free media. And you know, some people probably think New Dawn. I think it's called New Dawn, that conspiracy magazine. I'm telling you, some of the stuff in New Dawn isn't nonsense. You've just got to do the research. There's some pretty wacky stuff that goes on out there. Like I report on UFOs. It's not a popular narrative, and most people are dismissive and reject UFOs as ridiculous immediately. But because I've read so many Freedom of Information releases and read so much declassified material, I know the facts about UFOs. So it doesn't matter if somebody else wants to dismiss my narrative, I'm still going to present my narrative about UFOs because I've actually done the research and I actually understand the facts about UFOs. So I'm acting as a citizen journalist exposing information about UFOs. So I'm an independent actor, and that's why I like free media. Now, the thing I wanted to say about the ABC is it's good, the ABC, so you've got to understand the way the ABC is supposed to work. It's state-funded media, funded by the state, but they report independent of the media. That is that the organisation itself acts independent as an independent entity, and the ABC is expected to report on the government critically. So the ABC is expected to be critical of government and other institutions. So that's okay. That's good state media where the government is putting money into making sure there's a good media firm that is the reporting the news accurately. What we definitely don't want is a situation where the state is spoon-feeding the state-run media the truth and denying all other narratives. Because, we've seen throughout history, a lot of the time, the alternative narrative comes out on top at the end. And it's like UFOs, 20 years ago, everybody thought it was ridiculous. It was the stuff of madmen and conspiracy theorists and people who had been to psychiatric institutions. But now, that alternative narrative, if you follow the topic, is emerging as turning out to be very true. And there has been this cover-up of all these secret UFO programs for 60 years in America. They've had all these secretive programs having millions of dollars funded into them, and it was all covered up for 60 years. So there was a cover-up. And it's like the narrative about the sexual abuse in the Catholic Church. For years it was denied. Oh, they're making it up, and they call the victims liars. And that narrative of sexual abuse in the church was denied for 40 years before finally the truth won out. And the truth was the alternative narrative, and now the truth is the mainstream narrative. So this is why we don't just want the state spoon-feeding us what the truth is, because the state lies as well, and we can't trust the state. So the ABC, as I said, is good because it reports and acts independent of the government. It's only government-funded, but as a reporting body, it acts independently of the state. But we definitely don't want the state spoon-feeding us stuff. That's like what the Nazis did. The Nazis just spoon-fed, state-fed propaganda into people's minds. And there was and they suppressed alternative narratives. So free media gives us the right to have alternative narratives that are critical of the state and are critical of other institutions, and that allows the public, the population, through this citizen journalism and independent media, to regulate the state, to ensure that they are in charge of the democracy and that the government is doing the right thing. So free media is about keeping the government in check and making sure that the government is acting to the expectations of the people who put the government into power. So I'll just reiterate, Julian Assange, independent actor, acted independently and started his own company, WikiLeaks, and reported information. Citizen journalist, a bit higher established than that, had his own company, not a YouTuber, that's for sure. But independent actor who was reporting on the state and exposed the corruption of the state. So that's what my philosophy is all about. It's about independent actors exposing corruption. That's why I'm really into citizen journalism. But as I said at the start of the video, I do believe in a balance between state media and free media. We do need state-funded media, and it is important that the government have the power to assert what the facts are in certain situations. Guys, that's some thoughts on free media versus state media. Drop a comment in the comment section and tell me what you think.